much got through. I'm like flying through these things, through these shows here. But don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. There's an absolute reason for all of them. Now, speaking of mid-season finales, there was one show that was able to air its mid-season finale before the Thanksgiving holiday. And we were finally given the answer to life's biggest question. Well, to this show's biggest question. And that is, well, the show is How to Get Away with Murder. So, How to Get Away with Murder had its mid-season finale. And we found out who shot Annalise Keating. We are now the episode starts hours away from the incident. So, at the end of the previous episode, Caleb reveals to Michaela a gun hiding in Catherine's studio. Now, Caleb and Catherine are the adopted son and daughter of the Halberts, and they are being accused of torturing and killing their parents. That is the overarch storyline, or the larger arc trial in the that's happening in the show. Last season it was Rebecca. This season it's the Halpert case. So everything revolves around the Halpert case in this season so far. So Michaela Michaela calls over Connor. Calls Connor over, who immediately says, well, we have to call Annalise. We have to bring her up to speed. As they're doing all of this, they are discovered by Catherine, Caleb's adopted sister, who then decides to disappear. Good, great, grand, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Now, now they're stuck with a gun, fingerprints, and a runaway suspect. Once Annalise discovers that Caleb found the gun, she forces him to think about pulling Catherine off of her client list and only representing Caleb, because she knows for a fact Caleb didn't do it. But now there is doubt. There is reasonable doubt that Catherine had nothing to do with the murders. And that's all that prosecutors need. Prosecutors just need to just nudge that reasonable doubt. Or I'm sorry, they need to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Whereas the defense attorney is supposed to just put that little doubt in your mind. Not Annalise is thinking with Caleb, she definitely can plant the seed of doubt in the jury's mind. But with Catherine, not all fingers, but most fingers point to her, in which she will easily be convicted. Whereas Caleb, she will have an easier time to refute it. So, I'm just reading a recap so I know. Meanwhile, while this is all going on, Asher and his father were on the outs because Asher's father was looking to save his career, and Asher was looking to save his own skin and kind of save Bonnie at the same time. Asher does not have a mean bone in his body. He's also an innocent man who is just stuck in many hard situations, including the one that had to deal with This girl, I believe her name was Tiffany, a girl who was unfortunately gang raped at a party that Asher was hosting many years before the show is taking place. So now the ADA, Miss Sinclair, who is How to Get Away with Murder's King Arthur, she is putting, well, to Asher's knowledge, she is putting all of Asher's father's dirty laundry out to air, and at the same time is ruining his father's good name. Now, we know that we find out in this episode that it was actually Annalise Keating who did all that. It wasn't Sinclair. Although Sinclair does have really good intentions to do so, she's just been the absolute worst to Asher. And we find out, unfortunately, Asher's father committed suicide due to everything that's been going on. After his laundry was put out to dry and put out for the world to see and world to know, he decided to basically not ruin his name, but basically erase himself. And Asher's mom blames Asher. And Asher is just, that's it. He can't take it anymore. And I don't blame the guy. He's been given so many bad hands, and the hits just keep on coming for Asher. Until he gets a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, in which he gets so upset at what Sinclair says to him about everything that's happened. Like, doesn't even... She just sits there and keeps poking the bear. Even while the bear is attacking her, she is sitting there with a stick and poking at it. She has no filter. She doesn't know when to shut her mouth. And it obviously gets her into a lot of trouble, especially when Asher runs her over. Now, in some of the episodes that we've seen prior to this one, in the cutscenes where it fast forwards to this night, we see this Sinclair lying on the bricks, and in the previous episode we find out that she had been thrown off the roof. This episode, you find out that she was thrown off the roof to hide the fact that Asher ran her over with a car, and she was thrown off the roof by Bonnie and Asher. So Bonnie and Asher are not in cahoots, but Bonnie is trying to cover for Asher, and she is trying to do what Annalise is doing for everybody: protect them, because Annalise Keating knows how to do it. Sinclair, before she dies, also goes to the police station to try to get Nate fired. Now, Nate was reinstated, but he's a beat cop. He's not a detective. Was reinstated, was dealing with a lot of emotional stuff because his wife had just died. And we had known that his wife had asked Annalise to help her die, but I'm not too sure of whether or not he was actually able to do it and kill his own wife. Not in a malicious way, but just, let her sleep and let her doze off into the night. In this confrontation between Sinclair and Nate loses his cool in front of everybody and pretty much knows he's going to get fired. Sinclair files an assault charge on him, to which he counters with a wrongful termination suit due to racial profiling against Sinclair, which means that he still gets to stay on the force because she can't get him fired because he's black. I mean, hey, he really didn't do anything wrong. She's just going after him. She says she's going after She says she's really going after Annalise, but she's just leaving a wake of bodies in this fight against Annalise. It's really astonishing how much this woman is just ruining lives left and right just to go after one person. So Frank is sent out to look for Catherine, who's still missing. And meanwhile, this Philip guy who we met prior and we found out is kind of in cahoots with Catherine, is also looking for Catherine. So there's just Catherine's number one suspect everywhere. So we come to this night where Catherine is missing. Caleb leaves. Michaela stays, and Annalise is now there. And Annalise is going to try to make everything, is going to basically try to pin anything and everything on Catherine, because now Catherine is suspect number one in her parents' murder. She's also an accomplice. She's suspect number one as an accomplice in her racist aunt's murder. So Annalise figures, well, why don't we put the ADA on it, on her list of murders, and then we'll put me as a victim as well. So now with this newly found gun that Caleb found, that now pretty much everyone on Annalise's team except for Frank has touched, she decides that she is going to fall victim to all of this as well, and Annalise wants to get shot. Now at the end of the episode, she's trying to rile up the rest of the Keating Five. After Bonnie and Asher dropped Sinclair off the roof, they leave the scene. Asher now knows everything that has happened, because Annalise basically said everyone's got to be on the same playing field now. So guess what? Asher, Michaela, Connor, Laurel, and Wes killed Sam. Michaela, Laurel, Wes, and Connor. Asher killed Sinclair. So now everybody knows everybody's dirty laundry, and you're all going to help each other. And I'm going to help you, and I'm going to protect all of you, because that is what I do. So now in protecting, she wants Michaela, Laurel, Wes, or Connor to shoot her, Annalise. That is not very easy. Shooting your teacher, you don't want to become suspect number one. So what does Annalise do? She tries to get a rise out of all of them. She threatens Connor to throw Oliver in jail, saying that Oliver's done so many bad things for me, I never asked him to do it. Connor is almost ready to pull the trigger, but he can't. He knows he just can't. She goes up to Laurel. She tells Laurel that I will do it, or else I won't help your father deal with his legal issues and stuff. And Laurel, again, is right up there. And nothing. Still nothing. Laurel even then says, you know what? Why don't we just go to jail for killing your husband? I'd rather go to jail than shoot you right now. So that's what Laurel is kind of the moral compass, I think, of all of them, because Connor has gone off the deep end a couple times, but she kind of knows, what's up? Sup, Kirito? What's going on? Laurel knows what, I don't want to say what's right and wrong, but how to approach what is right and wrong. She knows that shooting Annalise is not right. She knows what they did is not right. And she figures, you know what? Maybe we should just go to jail for everything we've done. Annalise then turns her sights on whom we all think is her star pupil, Wes. She tells Wes that Rebecca is not missing. Rebecca is not a runaway. Rebecca is 6 feet. Tsukiro? Is that it? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Tsukiro? Um, uh, she riles him up and she says, Rebecca is 6 feet under. Rebecca is dead. Now, we, the viewers, knew that. We saw that coming at the beginning of at the end of last season. That was the season finale. And so we all knew that, but Wes had not known that. Wes only had an inkling of that, but when Frank kind of knocked his scent, Tsukiro. Suki. All right, thank you. Threw him off his scent. And Frank was able to throw him off the scent, which Frank is very good at, and kept Wes at bay with the whole Rebecca might possibly be dead. So now Wes, Sukairo. I'm sorry. I'm very bad at pronouncing names. I'm very sorry for that. So Wes bites. Wes takes the bait, bites it, and shoots Annalise. Now, Annalise the whole time is telling all three of them to shoot her in the leg. Wes kind of misses and shoots her in the gut, which lowers her survival rate from an hour or two to about 20 to 30 minutes. At least that's what I learned from True Lies. So shoots her in the gut, and we do know that the ambulance were called, and they brought her to the hospital, and she's nearly dead. Well, thank you for giving me the pass. Thank you so much for giving me that pass. We then get a flashback to, as she's lying there dying, after being shot by Wes, she keeps saying the name Christoph. Christoph. And as she's saying it, we fade into the past, which looks to be a 12-year-old Wes, whose real name is now Christoph, being interviewed by a detective about his mother's suicide. Now, Annalise and Eve are behind the one-sided mirror, and I'm talking about How to Get Away with Murder. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, Sukairo. It's How to Get Away with Murder. It's a Shonda Rhimes TV show. Very good TV show. If you like mystery and murder, you would love this show. Not too sure what you're into, but this is what it is. Welcome to the stream. So we see Christoph being questioned about his mother's suicide. Now, he says something very interesting that I was thankfully able to pick up on. And that was, well, to me, she looked dead. And that's a very telltale sign because he's 12. He's not really supposed to know what a dead body looks like other than video games and television and movies. And I mean, I don't know what 12-year-old Christoph has been open to in this world. But, I mean, you see a lifeless body. However, a theory had come to me through word of mouth that possibly Annalise or Eve, who we see behind the one-sided mirror listening in on this interview, had maybe thought, or you hear Eve, who we've met in this season, she says, "Good God, Annalise, what have we done?" Which I heard it through the grapevine, Marvin Gaye, great song. that maybe Annalise and Eve, one of them is her parents, or is one of them is the parent of Kristoff, and maybe is the mother that they in fact saw dead, and he is right now it's just myself. Token Jew 1220 is my stream bot. So he's got information about where to subscribe on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, where my podcast is. And that's pretty much it. I don't know. Who else is in the stream? Who else? So it's an interesting theory that maybe Eve and or Annalise are his mother and faked her death. It's going to be very interesting to see where this comes along at the beginning of next season. It was a crazy episode. Lots of action going on. So many things going on. You also have to remember a lot of things that happened throughout the season in those cutscenes, because there were a lot of things not shown. Kind of like we saw in this episode Frank drugging Catherine. And then in an earlier episode, through a cutscene, we saw Frank leaving Catherine in a wooded area that he also buried Rebecca in. And she wakes up the next day with the cops on her. And, freeze, you're under arrest, or, don't move, or something like that. So definitely a great mid-season finale. One for the books. I mean, it's only the second season of How to Get Away with Murder, and it's doing absolutely well. Now we have this whole new thing with Kristoff, and we still have the trial, the Halpert trial, which is going to be really interesting to see if that actually continues, because now there's no district attorney to prosecute it. I'm sure they'll get another one. District attorneys, unfortunately, grow on trees. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see where they pick up next season, at the second half of this season. Definitely very interested, and I will be talking about it come the new year and come the new part of the season. That it will definitely be one of the shows that I talk about for the spring season. So that's How to Get Away with Murder, the mid-season finale. Now I'm going to talk about